So the Hollywood studios and various other producers have now responded to the 100% tariffs that Donald Trump is proposing on putting on foreign productions. I'm pulling this from Variety. I'm not going to read the entire article word for word, just the meat and potatoes of it. Movie industry shocked and confused after Trump says he'll put 100% tariffs on films produced outside the U.S. This is nuts. President Donald Trump's plan to enforce 100% tariff on foreign-produced films was met with shock and disbelief across the European film industry. It was unclear how the levies, which were announced over the weekend on social media, would be enforced and which productions are most vulnerable to the tariffs. Yet they are widespread concerns that if they are enacted, Trump's latest moves have the potential to upend and potentially decimate a global film business that relies on a network of international incentives in foreign locations to make movies. Everything from low-budget indies to studio blockbusters are currently being made in countries like the UK, France, Germany, and Hungary. Even Mel Gibson, who is one of the 3 Hollywood special ambassadors appointed by Trump, the other 2 are Sylvester Stallone and John Voight, is currently planning to shoot his Passion of the Christ sequel in Italy. The reaction in the UK, where so many US movies are filming, has been the most vitriolic. Quote, "This makes no sense," a UK producer railed. It implies that a US film is meant to shoot in the US, but the Harry Potter films, Lord of the Rings, Schindler's List, Mission Impossible, Gladiator, Avatar, and so many more are US films that shot overseas for obvious reasons. Do these films have to shoot in the US from now on? It's an absurd announcement with no meaning nor understanding of storytelling or creative impulses, end quote. Another British producer said, even unemployed Americans are saying this is nuts. These are people who have genuinely had their careers shattered because of production moving to Europe. Echoes another London-based producer, quote, "If this goes the distance, it will decimate the industry, but you can't just stop production," he said. When does it come into effect? What about movies in pre-production that are shooting or in post? Would you just double their costs? None of this has been thought through. So I think the calm response is, let's see what this means. Let's see the fine print. Production in the U.S. is down 40% after Hollywood resolved strikes with the actors and screenwriters unions in some major films, including the next Avengers movies, have decamped for the UK and other European cities. Incentives are partly responsible for the move, although many states such as Georgia and New York offer generous film funding packages that rival those of other countries. Hollywood lobbying arms, such as the Motion Picture Association, have argued that the U.S. needs a federal film incentive as a carrot to lure productions back. Trump appears to have opted for using tariffs as a stick, and that is where I'm going to go ahead and end it, because that is where I'm going to go ahead and reading the article verbatim, because this is pretty much just the meat and potatoes. The article does continue on, but it is a lot of filler. But this is it's a very good point that this article is bringing up. Okay, the 100% tariffs, if they are successful in actually bringing U.S. productions back, do you really believe that there's going to be a federal tax incentive to make movies here in the United States? Well, probably not, because Donald Trump and all his supporters would come out and cry that doing so would be communism and going against the free market. Blah 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 blah. These are the same people that have been gutting the arts for decades, and now they're crying, bitching, and moaning about runaway productions, which, by the way, have been happening since the 1950s. There were movies that were being shot in Morocco, Italy, Spain, even some movies in the Philippines and Thailand. Since the 1950s, and the Philippines and Thailand ever since the 70s. But still, you're not going to stop, quote unquote, runaway productions, and using the stick method to basically beat an entire industry into submission is not going to work. Even the most moderate of moderate people are even saying that these 100% tariffs on movies produced outside of the U.S. is going to backfire very fucking hard. You think that production slowed down after the strikes? What is it that they said here? Production in the U.S. is down 40% after Hollywood resolved strikes with the actors and screenwriters unions. So production is down 40%. Guess what's going to happen if there's a 100% tariff on films produced outside the U.S., there's going to be even fewer productions. There's going to be even fewer movies and shows actually going into production because simply it's just going to cost way too much money. It doesn't matter how many people are watching the show if the show is too expensive to produce or the movie's too expensive to produce. They're just not going to produce it. The prime example of this was Westworld. Westworld season 1 had amazing ratings, but the ratings fell off, season 2, season 3, season 4. And the biggest reason why Westworld was canceled was not because of declining ratings. It was because the show was getting too expensive to produce, and because the ratings were declining, they just used declining ratings as the excuse to cancel Westworld. Now, granted, this isn't 100%. This isn't 100% tariffs, but still, if you're a production company and you rely on foreign sales, which a lot of these companies do, a lot of TV productions and even movies, 50% of their production budgets are actually raised via foreign sales. If they can't get the foreign sales, the movie or the TV show is dead. The 100% tariffs will accomplish absolutely nothing but decimate an entire industry. And if you even call for federal tax incentive, the U.S. federal tax incentives to bring movie and TV production back to the United States, be prepared to be decried as a fucking communist by the same people that are championing these 100% tariffs on films produced outside of the U.S.